Good morning, babies. This is Miss Stovall coming to you for your reading today. We're starting Chapter 3 of the Thrifty Guide to the American Revolution. I hope you're enjoying it. Today is Hat Day for Maurice Bowling Middle School, Spirit Day from home. So I hope that you get your hats out and post your pictures for Miss Taylor so that we know we are all sticking together in this. I got to talk to a lot of you yesterday. I enjoyed talking with you over the phone or through Google Meet. So it's really nice to see some of you. Keep in mind, Miss Bolin and Miss Stovall are going to run a Google Meet tomorrow. So keep an eye on your Google Classroom tomorrow morning. Hopefully we can see a whole bunch of you guys at that time. It's super early. I wanted to get this out to you. So I've got my hat on, but honestly, I'm still in my PJs too. So just wanted to get this to you. I hope you enjoy. I'm missing you. And we're going to get started with our story. It is Chapter 3, The Battle of Bunker Hill. You are now going to fight in one of the most terrifying battles of the war. Limber up and maybe take a few multivitamins. Are your affairs in order? Have you written a will? Don't go buying any green bananas, because you may not survive the next 48 hours. The British are completely embarrassed to be trapped in Boston. After all, they do command the most powerful army on the planet. So the Redcoats hatch a plan to capture the hills surrounding Boston Harbor. Once they mount cannons on those hills, they'll be able to bomb the Americans, march out of Boston, and smash the rebellion. Of course, the Sons of Liberty spies quickly uncover the British secret plan. Joseph Warren, the rebel leader, decides to capture the hills first. This will keep the British trapped in Boston. On June 16, 1775, the American militia embark on a daring plan to capture Bunker Hill. They sneak out under the cover of darkness and frantically begin building a fort. They're within range of British cannons, so they have to work quickly and very quietly before they're discovered on the hill. The fort must be completed before sunrise. The American commanders, lacking knowledge, experience, maps, common sense, and good leadership, somehow build their fort on Breed's Hill by accident. That's right, the Battle of Bunker Hill is actually fought on Breed's Hill. And here's the map. Okay. Get used to these sort of mistakes. It's going to be a very long night. With shovels and picks, you'll help dig a deep fort in the earth, building the dirt up around the edges to make a protective wall. All on the wrong hill. At around 4 a.m, duck and cover. A British ship spots the American fort and opens fire with cannons. Breed's Hill is a much easier target than Bunker Hill. If you haven't purchased a Time Corps life insurance policy, this would be a good time to consider our affordable rates. The deadly British cannon fire stops the Americans in their track. Luckily, the British leaders are even more incompetent than the Americans in this battle. English Admiral Samuel Graves, woken from his sleep by cannon fire that he didn't order, demands that the ship stop firing. This allows the Americans time to complete their fort. When day breaks, the Americans notice a few problems with their swanky new fort. Namely, it can be attacked on all sides. A few smart commanders assign troops to flank the fort to guard against British attack. The Americans are an amateur militia of shoe cobblers, blacksmiths, farmers, and students. Together, they have about as much military experience as Finn Greenquill's pet jellyfish. If you are into gambling, the smart money is on the British winning this battle. Helpful hints on your journey. African Americans in the Revolutionary War. 36 African American soldiers fight in the rebel army at Bunker Hill. Between 8,000 and 12,000 African Americans eventually join the American side of the Revolution. Many are only allowed to serve in non-combat roles such as builders, wagon drivers, livestock drovers, but many serve on the front lines and become heroes. Crispus Attucks, whose father was African and whose mother is Wampanoag American Indian, is the first casualty of the Revolution. He's shot in the Boston Massacre of 1770. Nearly 10% of General George Washington's effective fighting force is African American. The 1st Rhode Island Regiment is 75% black. A French officer observing them on the field describes the regiment as the most neatly dressed, the best under arms, and the most precise in its maneuvers. The British have great success recruiting African American slaves into the English ranks by promising them their freedom. This puts pressure on the rebel army to do the same. In these early phases of the war, most of the African Americans fighting for the American rebels are already free men. But as the war continues, many slaves will fight for America in exchange for being granted their freedom. The British attack. British General Henry Clinton sees the danger in the Americans' advance on Breed's Hill. The rebels will be able to fire cannons directly into Boston. The Americans must be attacked immediately. Clinton realizes the smartest move is to attack the Charlestown neck, cutting off the Americans and starving them out. See the map below. This, it should be noted, is an excellent plan. So, here is General Clinton's plan to save his British troops. So, here's where the American troops are. And he is going to cut them off here. And it keeps them completely surrounded by either water or his troops. And they won't be able to get food in or get out for supplies. There's just one problem with General Clinton. He is not in charge. A man named General Howe is. And there's a note here, so let's read it. Howe is pronounced how, as in, how did this guy become the commander? All right. Howe is slow, indecisive, overconfident, and a lousy strategist. It takes him until 3 p.m. to finally launch an attack on this new American fort. And his plan is, well, pretty horrendous. General Howe's not so brilliant plan. Number 1, send British troops up Breed's Hill directly into American gunfire. Number 2, get shot at the entire climb. Number 3, question mark, we have no plans. Number 4, victory. Shockingly, General Howe's not so brilliant plan does not work. His forces charge uphill, directly into American gunfire. A few minutes later, his forces retreat, some of them full of bullet holes. Meanwhile, British troops, harassed by American sniper fire, it's still early, sorry. Meanwhile, British troops, harassed by American sniper fire from the buildings of Charlestown, simply burn down Charlestown. So the Breed's Hill battlefield is now covered in smoke. Since General Howe's attack doesn't work the first time, he gets an idea. Let's try it again. Spoiler alert, it still doesn't work. Worse commanders than William Howe. 1. Field Marshal Sir Douglas Haig, British commander who orders 110,000 men to attack impenetrable German trenches during World War I, and he loses half of his men in a single day. Number 2, the governor of Lampedusa, When British Royal Air Force pilot Sidney Cohen runs out of gas and emergency lands in World War II, he is surprised when all the Italians on the island assume he is attacking and just surrender to him. And number 3, Major G.P.W. Meredith. The Australian government sends its army to combat an overpopulation of emus in 1932. Emus are flightless birds and theoretically have no method of escaping the Australian army. Nevertheless, the combined efforts of Major Meredith, the Australian artillery, and 10,000 rounds of machine gun bullets are unable to beat the emus. Meredith withdraws in defeat. Better commanders than William Howe? Finn Greenquill's grandmother, a wet sock, a bowl of soggy oatmeal, this book, and finally a cat stuck in a washing machine. And guys, that's where we'll stop today. We're halfway through chapter 3. Tomorrow we'll pick up in the middle and we'll look at British strategies for war and what made them maybe not the best fighters here in America. All right, guys, I hope you have a good day. If you have any questions, remember, give me a contact, email, Google Classroom, call the school, and I will call you right back. If it's a private number, keep in mind, it might be Miss Stovall, so please go ahead and answer so I can chat with you and check on you. All right, babies, love you. Bye.